My name is Charlotte Whitmore. I am 29 years old, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I remember the exact moment I stopped being a daughter and became a stranger. It was Thanksgiving dinner, and we were eating inside the humid family greenhouse because my mother wanted the perfect aesthetic. My shirt was sticking to my back from sweat. I was exhausted. I had just spent 3 weeks fighting to secure a $25,000 contract that saved our family nursery from bankruptcy. My sister, Ashley, sat across from me. She looked perfect, as always. She had just received a callback for a 10-second juice commercial. My father, Robert, stood up. He tapped his glass. I waited for him to mention the contract. I waited for a thank you. Instead, he raised his wine glass to Ashley. "To our star," he said, beaming, "for bringing beauty into this world." I couldn't help it, I spoke up. "Dad, I just saved the business today. The contract is signed." He looked at me with cold, flat eyes. He didn't even blink. He said the words that destroyed my entire childhood in 10 seconds. "Charlotte, stop being jealous. You were born to tend the soil so Ashley can bloom. That's the natural order." The table went silent. I felt a strange calm wash over me. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the heavy master key ring. It held the keys to the irrigation system, the delivery trucks, and the office safe. I looked at the steaming bowl of mashed potatoes in the center of the table. I dropped the heavy, dirty keys right into the middle of the soft white mound. Plop. I stood up and looked my father in the eye. "Then the soil is on its own." But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? My name is Charlotte Whitmore. I am 29 years old. I walked out of the greenhouse, and the cold air hit me like a slap in the face. It was shocking, but it felt good. Inside, the air had been thick, hot, and smelled like damp earth and expensive fertilizer. Outside, it was just the freezing Portland rain. It was clean. It washed the smell of the turkey and the heavy perfume of the orchids off my skin. I didn't run. I didn't cry. I just walked. My boots crunched on the gravel driveway. I could hear the rain drumming against the plastic roof of the greenhouse behind me. I knew exactly what was happening inside that glass building. I didn't need to see it. I knew the physics of it better than anyone. I had left the main door wide open. The hydraulic arm was broken. It wouldn't close on its own. I was the one who was supposed to fix it next week. Now, the cold wind was rushing in. The greenhouse was set to 75 degrees with 80% humidity. The outside air was 38 degrees. I did the math in my head as I walked to my beat-up sedan. It was simple thermodynamics. The heat would escape in less than 20 minutes. The industrial heater in the back corner had a safety trip switch. If the temperature dropped too fast, the heater would shut off to prevent a gas leak. It needed a manual reset. The key to the reset panel was on the ring I had just dropped into the mashed potatoes. The orchids would feel the chill in an hour. By midnight, they would be in shock. By morning, 10 years of breeding work would be brown mush. "Not my problem," I whispered. My voice sounded strange in the open air. "Not my problem." I got into my car. It was a 10-year-old Honda that smelled like old coffee and soil. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. My hands were shaking, not from cold but from adrenaline. I looked at the house one last time. It was a beautiful house, a sprawling Victorian estate that my great-grandfather had built. It looked warm and inviting with the lights glowing in the windows. But to me, it looked like a prison I had just broken out of. I started the engine. It sputtered, then caught. I backed out of the driveway, my headlights sweeping over the sign, Whitmore and Daughters Nursery. The S in Daughters had been added 6 years ago when Ashley turned 18. She had never planted a seed in her life, but she got her name on the sign. I shifted gears and drove onto the dark highway. The rain was coming down harder now. The wipers slapped back and forth, a steady rhythm. Slap swish, slap swish. It was the only sound in the world. For the first time in my life, I wasn't rushing to go pick up supplies. I wasn't rushing to fix a broken pipe. I wasn't rushing to meet a delivery driver. I was just driving. I reached for my phone. It was buzzing on the passenger seat. Dad flashed on the screen, then Mom, then Ashley. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled over into a gas station parking lot about 5 miles down the road. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. I took a deep breath and picked up the phone. I didn't check the messages. I opened my banking app instead. My fingers hovered over the screen. This was the scary part. This was the part where I cut the rope. For 7 years, since I was 22, I had been paying the rent for my parents' city apartment. They claimed they needed a place in downtown Portland to network for the business. They said the farm was too far out for meetings. The rent was $2,800 a month. I paid it from my personal account. My salary at the nursery was barely enough to cover my own small studio apartment and my car, but I paid their rent first. I ate instant noodles so they could have a doorman. I wore thrift store clothes so they could have a view of the river. I looked at the recurring transfer line. Whitmore City apartment, $2,800. Next payment scheduled, tomorrow. I pressed cancel. A box popped up. Are you sure? I pressed yes. Recurring transfer canceled. I felt a weight lift off my chest. It was physical. I actually sat up straighter. Then I went to the credit card section. There was a business card in my name, but my mother carried it for emergencies. I looked at the recent charges. Nordstrom, $450. Sephora, $200. Lunch at Le Pigeon, $180. Those weren't emergencies. I pressed report lost/stolen. The app asked if I wanted to freeze the card immediately. I pressed freeze. It was done. In 2 minutes, I had cut off the money supply that fueled their lifestyle. I knew what would happen. The card would be declined the next time my mother tried to buy a latte. The landlord would call my father in 3 days when the check didn't arrive. They would panic. I put the phone down and looked out at the rain. I was technically homeless. I couldn't go back to my apartment tonight. My parents had a spare key, and I knew they would be waiting there to scream at me. I needed to go somewhere they wouldn't look. I put the car in drive and headed toward the coast. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have much money in my savings because I had given it all to them. But I had a full tank of gas, and for the first time in 29 years, I owned my own time. The silence in the car was beautiful. No one asking me to do anything. No one criticizing my clothes. No one telling me I looked tired. Just the rain and the road. As I drove toward the ocean, the silence gave my mind space to think. Memories started coming back. Not the happy ones people talk about at holidays. I didn't have many of those. These were the memories that explained why I left. I remembered being 12 years old. It was a Saturday in July. The nursery was busy. My father was yelling about a delivery of fertilizer that had been dropped at the wrong end of the property. "Charlotte," he shouted. "Get over here." I ran over. I was a skinny kid, knees always scraped, hair always in a messy ponytail. "Move these bags to the shed," he said, pointing to a pallet of 50-pound sacks. "The rain is coming, they can't get wet." "But Dad," I said, looking at the huge pile, "they're too heavy. Can't the forklift guy do it?" "He's busy," Dad snapped. "Don't be lazy, use your legs." He walked away. I spent the next 2 hours dragging those bags. The rough plastic scratched my arms until they bled. The chemical dust made me cough. My back screamed in pain. While I was dragging the last bag, I looked up at the house. The window to the sunroom was open. I saw Ashley. She was 10. She was wearing a pink leotard. My mother was adjusting Ashley's posture. "Chin up, darling," I heard my mother say. "You have such a graceful neck. You were made for the stage." Ashley did a little spin. They both laughed. They were drinking lemonade. I looked down at my bleeding arms and my dirty boots. I wasn't made for the stage. I was made to carry the heavy things so Ashley could be light. That was the dynamic. It never changed. It only got worse as we got older. When I was 19, I was in college studying botany, but I was still running the nursery's payroll on weekends. One Friday, the system crashed. We had 20 employees waiting for checks. My father was useless with computers. He threw a stack of papers at me. "Fix it, Charlotte. If they don't get paid, they walk." I missed a huge party at my dorm. I missed a date with a guy I really liked. I sat in the dusty back office for 14 hours, manually entering data, sweating, crying from stress. I got it done at 3 a.m. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen, exhausted, eyes swollen. My parents were eating pancakes with Ashley. "Oh, look who's finally up," Mom said, not looking at me. "Ashley just told us the wonderful news. Her drama teacher says she has immense potential." "We're so proud," Dad said, beaming at Ashley. "We're going to pay for those extra voice lessons. It's an investment." "What about the payroll?" I asked. "I saved the company last night." Dad waved a fork at me. "That's just administration, Charlotte. It's expected. Don't fish for compliments, it's unbecoming." That word, expected. My labor was expected. It was invisible. It was like running water or electricity. You only notice it when it stops. But Ashley was the art on the wall. She was there to be admired. I realized something as I drove through the dark woods of the coastal range. My family wasn't accidentally dysfunctional. It was engineered. It was built this way on purpose. They needed a workhorse and they needed a show pony. I was the horse. Ashley was the pony. They raised me to be responsible, to be guilty, to be afraid of failure. They raised Ashley to be helpless, to be vain, to believe she deserved everything just for existing. I thought about the money. The $2,800 rent. 2 years ago, I tried to tell them I couldn't afford it anymore. My car needed a new transmission. I can't pay the full rent this month, I had told my mother. She didn't get angry, she got sad. She did this thing where her eyes filled with tears and her voice got very small. "Oh, Charlotte," she whispered. "After everything we've done for you, we gave you a job, we gave you a purpose. And now you want to evict your own parents. I don't want to evict you, Your father works so hard," she interrupted. "His back is bad. He needs that elevator building. The stairs at the farm hurt him. Do you want him to be in pain?" "No," I said. "Then figure it out," she said, her voice suddenly hard and cold. "Figure it out, Charlotte, that's what you're good at." So I did. I didn't fix my car. I rode the bus for 4 months. I paid their rent. I slammed my hand against the steering wheel. The anger was rising up in my throat like bile. I had been so stupid. I had bought their lies. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I sacrificed enough, one day they would look at me the way they looked at Ashley. But they never would. Because if they admitted I was valuable, they would have to stop using me. And they enjoyed using me too much. The next morning, I woke up in a cheap motel room in Seaside. The bed was hard and the room smelled like bleach, but I slept better than I had in years. I turned on my phone. The screen exploded with notifications. 47 missed calls. 82 text messages. I sat up, pulled the pillows behind me and started to read. I didn't feel panic. I felt like a scientist observing an experiment. I had removed the variable me, and now I was watching the reaction. 8 a.m. Dad, where are you? The irrigation isn't running. The pressure gauge is red. 8:15 a.m. Dad, Charlotte, pick up. The greenhouse is freezing. The heater won't kick on. 9:30 a.m. Mom, stop this childish tantrum. Your father is very stressed. Come fix the boiler. 10:45 a.m. Ashley, Char, seriously, I can't find the coffee filters. And Mom is crying. You're ruining Thanksgiving weekend. I laughed, a dry, short laugh. Ashley couldn't find the coffee filters. That was her crisis. Meanwhile, the nursery was dying. By noon, the texts changed tone. They went from annoyed to panicked. 12:30 p.m. Dad, the orchids are dropping leaves. I don't know the password for the climate control panel. You changed it last month. What is it? I remembered that. I had changed the password because Dad kept messing with the settings and killing plants. I had told him the new password 3 times. He never wrote it down. I don't need to know, he had said. That's your job. Well, now it was nobody's job. 2 p.m. Ashley, my skin is breaking out from the stress. I have an audition on Tuesday. You are so selfish, Charlotte. Come back right now. 3:15 p.m. Mom. The card was declined at the grocery store. It was humiliating. Unfreeze it immediately. We have guests coming for leftovers. I didn't reply to a single one. I took a screenshot of every message. Click, click, click. This was evidence. This proved that without me, they couldn't function for even 24 hours. I ordered a pizza to the motel room. I ate it in bed while watching HGTV. Around 5 p.m., my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. Same number. I picked it up. Hello, Charlotte, a woman's voice, sharp but not unkind. Yes, it's Aunt Patricia. I sat up straight. Patricia was my father's older sister. She was the black sheep of the family. She had been banned from family gatherings 10 years ago because she told my father he was a pompous fool at Christmas dinner. I hadn't spoken to her since then. Aunt Patricia, I heard what happened, she said. Your mother called me, she's hysterical, said you went crazy and tried to burn the house down. I didn't burn anything, I said calmly. I just left. I know, Patricia said. I know Susan is a liar. Listen to me, Charlotte, where are you? I'm safe. Good, stay there, but I need to see you. I have something of yours. Your grandmother left it with me before she died. She made me promise not to give it to you until you were ready. She said I'd know when that was. Ready for what? Ready to walk away from them, Patricia said. And it sounds like you finally did. My heart started to pound. My grandmother had died 5 years ago. She was the only person who had ever been kind to me. She used to sneak me cookies when Mom put me on a diet. Meet me at the diner on Highway 26, Patricia said. The one with the giant crab sign, 1 hour. Okay, I said. I hung up. I looked at the phone again. Dad, if those orchids die, I will sue you for damages. I screenshotted it. He couldn't sue me. I was an at-will employee with no contract. I had resigned. The nursery was collapsing. The inventory was rotting. The money was frozen. And I was going to get pancakes with Aunt Patricia. The diner was warm and smelled like bacon and old frying oil. Aunt Patricia was sitting in a booth in the back. She looked exactly as I remembered. Sharp gray bob haircut, bright red lipstick, and a look in her eyes that said she didn't tolerate nonsense. She didn't hug me. She just pointed to the seat across from her. You look like hell, Charlotte, she said. Thanks, I said, sliding into the vinyl booth. I feel great. You should, she said. I ordered you coffee. She pushed a mug toward me. Then she reached into her large leather tote bag and pulled out a metal lockbox. It was old, gray steel, with a small key taped to the top. Your grandmother, Martha, gave this to me a week before she passed, Patricia said. She knew your parents. She knew Robert was weak and Susan was greedy. She knew they would bleed you dry if they could. I stared at the box. What is it? Open it. I peeled the tape off the key. My hands were shaking again. I unlocked the box and lifted the lid. Inside was a stack of papers, old bank statements, legal documents. I picked up the top paper. It was a trust deed. The Charlotte Whitmore Education and Business Trust. Beneficiary: Charlotte Whitmore. Trustee: Robert Whitmore and Susan Whitmore. Initial deposit: $150,000. I gasped. What is this? Your grandmother sold her rental properties in 2015, Patricia said. She set aside $150,000 for you, specifically for you, to start your own nursery or buy a house. She knew you were the one with the green thumb. I never knew about this, I whispered. They told me Grandma died broke. They said we had to pay for her funeral. Lies, Patricia spat. Read the transaction history, the second page. I turned the page. My eyes scanned the lines. January 12, 2018. Withdrawal $45,000. March 4, 2018. Withdrawal $30,000. June 15, 2018. Withdrawal $75,000. Balance $0. The account had been drained 5 years ago. I looked at the dates. They felt familiar. January 2018, that was when Ashley moved to Los Angeles. March 2018, that was when Ashley got her portfolio photos done. June 2018, that was when Ashley bought her convertible. They spent it, I said. My voice was trembling. They spent my inheritance on Ashley. Keep looking, Patricia said softly. Look at the withdrawal slips. I pulled out the copies of the bank slips. At the bottom of each one was a signature. Charlotte Whitmore. I stared at it. It looked like my name. It looked like my handwriting. But I had never signed these. I looked closer. The C was too loopy. The T wasn't crossed in the middle. It was a forgery, but not just any forgery. I recognized the pen stroke. I recognized the specific way the R curled. It was my mother's handwriting. She had practiced signing my name. She forged my signature, I said. The realization hit me like a physical blow to the stomach. This isn't just them being mean. This is fraud, Patricia said. Grand larceny, identity theft. It's a felony, Charlotte. I sat back in the booth. The diner noise faded away. I thought about the last 5 years. I thought about eating ramen noodles. I thought about wearing shoes with holes in the soles. I thought about begging them for a raise and being told there was no money. There was money. There was $150,000. It was mine, and they stole it to buy Ashley a convertible. I wasn't just a victim of bad parenting. I was a victim of a crime. Something inside me snapped. But it wasn't a loud snap. It was a quiet, hard click, like a lock turning. The sadness evaporated. The guilt evaporated. All that was left was cold, hard clarity. I looked at Aunt Patricia. They did this. They did. And you have the originals? I do. I took a sip of the coffee. It was bitter and hot. I'm not going back to fix the boiler, I said. Patricia smiled. It was a fierce, shark-like smile. Good. I pulled out my phone. I didn't look at the text from my dad. I dialed a number I had looked up on Google earlier just in case. But now I had a reason. Who are you calling? Patricia asked. I put the phone to my ear. I kept my voice steady, professional. The police, I said. Non-emergency line, the operator answered. Dispatch. Hello, I said. My name is Charlotte Whitmore. I would like to report a theft and forgery. The amount is over $100,000. I have the documents in front of me. Yes, I know who did it. I looked at Aunt Patricia. She raised her coffee mug in a toast. I'm ready to file a report, I said into the phone. The game was over. I was done being the soil. It was time to be the storm. The police station did not look like it did in the movies. It was much quieter, and it smelled like old coffee and floor wax. I sat on a hard plastic chair in the waiting area. The fluorescent lights overhead were buzzing. It was a low, steady sound, like a fly trapped in a window. Zzzzzzz. It made my headache worse. I held the metal lockbox on my lap. My hands were gripping it so tight that my knuckles were white. Aunt Patricia sat next to me. She was reading an old magazine, but I knew she wasn't really reading. She was watching me. She was guarding me. You don't have to do this, Charlotte, she said for the third time. We can just hire a lawyer. We can sue them in civil court. You don't have to talk to the police. I looked at the scuff marks on the linoleum floor. I shook my head. No, I said. My voice sounded small but steady. Stealing is a crime, Aunt Patricia. If a stranger walked into the nursery and took $150,000 from the safe, would we just sue them? No, we would call the police. We would want them arrested. It's different, she said softly. It's your mother and father. That makes it worse, I said. A stranger doesn't owe me love. A stranger doesn't owe me protection. They were supposed to protect me. Instead, they robbed me. A heavy door opened. A man in a gray suit walked out. He looked tired. He had bags under his eyes and a coffee stain on his tie. He held a clipboard. Charlotte Whitmore, he called out. I stood up. My legs felt heavy, like I was walking through mud. That's me. I'm Detective Miller, he said. Financial Crimes Division. Your aunt called ahead. Come on back. We walked through a maze of desks. Phones were ringing. People were typing. It was just an office, but it felt dangerous. We went into a small interview room. There was a metal table and 3 chairs. There was a mirror on the wall that I knew was one-way glass. Have a seat, Detective Miller said. He sat down and opened a notepad. So you want to report a theft? I put the lockbox on the table. The sound of the metal hitting the table was loud. Clang. I want to report a theft, a forgery and fraud, I said. I opened the box. I took out the stack of papers Aunt Patricia had given me. I laid them out in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a trust fund, I explained. My grandmother, Martha Whitmore, set it up for me in 2015. She deposited $150,000. It was for my education or to start a business. I am the sole beneficiary. Detective Miller picked up the trust deed. He put on a pair of reading glasses. He read it slowly. Okay, he said. Looks standard. Robert and Susan Whitmore are listed as trustees until you turn 25. When did you turn 25? 4 years ago, I said. But I never saw this money. I didn't know it existed until yesterday. And where is the money now? He asked. Gone, I said. All of it. I pushed the bank statements toward him. Look at the withdrawals. They started in January 2018. That was 6 months before I turned 25. They drained the account before I could legally take control of it. Detective Miller looked at the statements. He frowned. These withdrawals are signed. Charlotte Whitmore. Is this your signature? I took a deep breath. This was the moment. This was the moment I turned my parents into felons. No, I said, that is not my signature. Are you sure? He asked. He looked at me over his glasses. Sometimes people forget. Maybe you signed something without looking. Maybe they told you it was for something else. I am sure, I said. I reached into my purse and pulled out my driver's license and a check from my own checking account. I placed them next to the forged withdrawal slip. Look at the C, I said. I write my C with a sharp loop at the top. This C is round, it's bubbly, and look at the T. I cross my T straight through the middle. This T is crossed at the very top with a little slant. I pointed a shaking finger at the paper. That is my mother's handwriting. She tries to make it look fancy. She thinks bubbly letters look upper class. I have seen that handwriting on birthday cards and grocery lists my entire life. She signed my name. Detective Miller pulled a magnifying glass from his drawer. He leaned in close. He looked at the real signature and then the fake one. He did it for a long time. The room was silent except for the buzzing light. It's not even a good forgery, he muttered. It looks practiced but shaky. He looked up at me. Okay, let's assume this is a forgery. We need to establish a timeline. To prove fraud, we need to show that the money wasn't used for your benefit. If they spent this money on your medical bills, or your tuition, or your car, it's not theft. It's just mismanagement. I laughed. It was a dry, cracking sound. My benefit, detective, let me tell you about January 2018. I closed my eyes, I could see it clearly. January 12, 2018, I said. Withdrawal of $45,000. That was the week of the big freeze. I was working at the nursery. I was 24. I was making $12 an hour. My boots had holes in them. My toes were blue from the cold. I asked my father for a raise so I could buy new thermal gear. He told me the business was struggling and I needed to sacrifice for the family. I opened my eyes. That same week, my sister Ashley moved to Los Angeles. She wanted to be an actress. She needed an apartment. She rented a place in West Hollywood. My mother told me Ashley had saved up from babysitting, but Ashley never babysat. Ashley never worked a day in her life. Detective Miller wrote this down. So the money coincided with your sister's move? Yes, I said. $45,000 covers a year of rent in a luxury building plus furniture. While I was taping my boots together with duct tape. Okay, Miller said. Next one, March 4, 2018, $30,000. My birthday, I said. I remember because they forgot it. They were in Los Angeles visiting Ashley. They sent me a text message. Happy birthday, hold down the fort. That was it. No gift, no card. But Ashley posted a photo online that day. She had hired a branding team and a professional photographer for headshots. Do you know how much a top-tier Hollywood branding package costs? About $30,000. I felt the anger rising in my chest. It wasn't hot anger anymore. It was cold, it was ice. They used my money my grandmother left for me to pay for my sister's vanity, I said. They stole my future to buy her a fantasy. June 15, 2018, Miller read. $75,000, the big one. The convertible, I said flatly. Ashley came home for a visit that summer. She drove up in a brand new white convertible. Leather seats, custom rims. She said her agent leased it for her as a signing bonus. We all knew she didn't have an agent yet. But my parents clapped. They popped champagne. They told me to go wash the car for her because it had bugs on the windshield. I looked at my hands. They were rough, calloused. I washed the car, I whispered. I washed the car that was bought with my stolen money. I scrubbed the bugs off the bumper while my sister sat on the porch drinking iced tea and watching me. Detective Miller stopped writing. He put his pen down. He looked at me with a softness I didn't expect. Miss Whitmore, he said, this is a significant amount of money. In this state, theft over $10,000 is a Class B felony. Aggravated identity theft is also a felony. If we pursue this, and if the evidence holds up, which it looks like it will, your parents are looking at prison time. Minimum mandatory sentences apply. He leaned forward. I need you to be very clear about this. Once I file this report, the state takes over. You can't just change your mind next week because your mom cries. This isn't a family dispute anymore. It's the people of the state of Oregon versus Robert and Susan Whitmore. Are you ready for that? I looked at the mirror. I saw my own reflection. I looked tired. I looked pale, but I looked strong. For years, I had protected them. I had covered their mistakes. I had paid their bills. I had hidden their cruelty from the world. I thought that was what a good daughter did. But a good daughter doesn't let her parents commit crimes. A good daughter doesn't let herself be abused. And a good parent doesn't steal from their child. I thought about the natural order my father loved to talk about. The soil and the flower. He was right, I was the soil. But soil has rules. If you poison the soil, nothing grows. If you steal from the soil, the land dies. They had poisoned me. They had stolen from me. And now the harvest was coming. I am not doing this to be mean, I said to Detective Miller. I am doing this because it is the truth. They committed a crime. They need to face the consequences. I am done protecting them from reality. Is that a yes? Miller asked. Yes, I said. File the report. Issue the warrant. I want my money back, and I want justice. Miller nodded. He hit a button on his desk phone. Cindy, can you bring me the intake forms for a felony fraud case? Yes, the long form. He looked back at me. We can arrest them today. We can send a patrol car to the house. No, I said. Not yet. I want to give them one chance to do the right thing. Not for them, but for me. I need to look them in the eye and see if they have any remorse. If they don't, then you can arrest them. How do you want to handle it? My lawyer is setting up a meeting tomorrow morning, I said. If they don't agree to pay me back and liquidate the assets immediately, I will text you. Then you can come. That's risky, Miller warned. They might try to run. They might try to hide money. They have nowhere to run, I said. I cut off their credit cards yesterday. They have no cash, they have no friends. They only have the lie they've been living, and I'm about to pop the balloon. I signed the police statement. My hand didn't shake this time. Charlotte Whitmore, the real signature, the one that mattered. Walking out of the police station, I felt a strange sensation. I felt lighter. The physical weight of the secret was gone. I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. The detective knew, the state knew, the law knew. I looked up at the gray sky. It was starting to rain again. "Let it rain," I whispered. I was ready for the storm. The law office of Henderson and Associates was located on the top floor of a glass building in downtown Portland. It was a place of power. The carpet was thick and silent. The walls were lined with expensive art. It was the kind of place my parents pretended to belong in, but couldn't actually afford. I arrived 30 minutes early. Mr. Henderson, my lawyer, met me in the lobby. He was a sharp man, about 50, with a suit that cost more than my car. Aunt Patricia had hired him. She said he was a shark in a silk tie. That was exactly what I needed. "Charlotte," he said, shaking my hand. His grip was firm. "You look ready." "I am," I said. "Do they know why they are coming?" "No," Mr. Henderson smiled. "I simply told them it was a matter regarding the future of the Whitmore estate and immediate financial restructuring. Your father thinks he's coming here to sign a loan or get a bailout. He probably thinks you're going to apologize and co-sign a new mortgage." "He's going to be disappointed," I said. We went into the main conference room. It was a large room with a long mahogany table. One wall was entirely glass, looking out over the city. You could see the river. You could see the bridges. I sat at the head of the table. Mr. Henderson sat to my right. I placed the folder, the one containing the police report, the bank statements, and the trust deed, in the center of the table. Then we waited. The waiting was the hardest part. Every minute felt like an hour. I kept checking my watch. 10 a.m. 10:05 a.m. They were late. Of course they were late. Being late was a power move for them. It forced people to wait on them. It said, "My time is more important than yours." At 10:12 a.m., the receptionist buzzed in. "Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore are here." "Send them in," Mr. Henderson said. The heavy double doors swung open. My parents walked in. They looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe it was the big room. Maybe it was because I was sitting down and they were standing. My father, Robert, was wearing his business suit, but I noticed the hem of the pants was frayed. He looked red-faced and stressed. My mother, Susan, was wearing a large fur coat, fake, and sunglasses, even though it was raining outside. She was holding a tissue, ready to cry at a moment's notice. They stopped when they saw me. "Charlotte," my father said. He sounded confused. "What are you doing here? We have a meeting with a lawyer." "I am the meeting, Dad," I said. I didn't stand up. "Don't be ridiculous," my mother snapped. She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were puffy. "We have been worried sick about you. You ran off. You abandoned the nursery. Do you know the irrigation system failed? We lost half the hydrangeas. Thousands of dollars, Charlotte. You are going to pay for that." She marched to a chair and sat down. My father followed. He looked at Mr. Henderson. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Where is the loan officer?" "I am James Henderson," my lawyer said. "I represent your daughter, Charlotte Whitmore. There is no loan officer. There is no bailout. This is a settlement conference." "Settlement?" My father laughed. It was a nervous, arrogant laugh. "Settlement for what? She's our daughter. She's our employee. If anyone is settling, she should be settling with us for walking off the job." He pointed a finger at me. "You are coming home, Charlotte. Right now. You are going to fix the boiler, you are going to apologize to your mother, and you are going to work double shifts until you pay off the damage you caused." I looked at his finger. It used to terrify me. It used to make me shrink into a ball. Now it just looked like a finger. I leaned forward. "No," I said. My father blinked. "Excuse me." "No," I repeated. "I am not coming home. I am not fixing the boiler. I am not your employee, and I am certainly not your daughter anymore." "How dare you?" my mother gasped. She started to sob. "After everything we did for you, we gave you life. We gave you a home. You gave me a debt," I said, "and you gave me a crime." I reached out and slid the folder across the table. It stopped right in front of my father. "Open it," I said. He looked at the folder. He looked at me. He saw something in my eyes he had never seen before. He saw that I wasn't afraid. He opened the folder. He saw the top document, the Charlotte Whitmore Education and Business Trust. He went pale. His red face turned gray in an instant. What is this?" he stammered. "You know what it is," I said. "Keep reading." He turned the page. He saw the withdrawal slips. He saw the highlighted signatures. My mother leaned over to look. When she saw the signatures, her own handwriting, she made a noise like a dying animal, a high-pitched whimper. She pulled her fur coat tight around her neck. That's a mistake, my father said. His voice was shaking. This is just paperwork, it's a misunderstanding. It's not a misunderstanding, Robert, I said. It's a felony, grand larceny, aggravated identity theft, wire fraud. I pointed to the papers. I went to the police yesterday. I spoke with Detective Miller at the Financial Crimes Division. He has the originals. He has verified that the signatures are forgeries. He is ready to arrest you. My parents froze. The silence in the room was absolute. You could hear the rain hitting the glass window. You went to the police, my mother whispered. She looked at me with horror. You called the police on your own parents. You stole from your own child, I shot back. $150,000. You stole my grandmother's gift to me, and what did you spend it on? Ashley's apartment, Ashley's car, Ashley's failed acting career. We had to help her, my mother cried. She has so much potential. She just needed a chance. We were going to pay it back, Charlotte, we swear. As soon as Ashley got a movie role, we were going to put the money back. Ashley has been in LA for 5 years, I said. She hasn't had a job. She hasn't had a role. She has had a party funded by me. It's family money, my father yelled, slamming his hand on the table. He was trying to regain control. He was trying to be the big scary dad again. It all belongs to the family. You are selfish, Charlotte. You always have been, hoarding money while your sister struggles. It wasn't family money, Mr. Henderson interjected. His voice was calm and cold as ice. It was a trust. Legally, that money belonged to Charlotte and Charlotte alone. By accessing it without her permission, you committed theft. By signing her name, you committed forgery. These are facts. They are not up for debate. Mr. Henderson leaned forward. Here is the situation. Detective Miller is waiting for a text message from Charlotte. If she sends that text, a squad car will be at your house in 20 minutes. You will be arrested. You will be handcuffed. You will be booked into the county jail. Bail will likely be denied because you are flight risks. You will go to trial. And with this evidence, you will go to prison for at least 5 years. My father slumped in his chair. He looked like a balloon that had been popped. The arrogance was gone. Prison, he whispered. I can't go to prison, I have a bad back. Then you shouldn't have committed a crime, I said. What do you want? My mother asked. She was crying for real now. Ugly, terrified tears. Please, Charlotte, don't send us to jail, we'll do anything, please. Here is the deal, I said. Option B, I pushed a second document across the table. It was a legal settlement agreement. You will liquidate the nursery, I said. Immediately, you will sell the land, the equipment, the trucks, and the house, everything. But that's our home, my father whimpered. That's my legacy. My grandfather built that business. And you destroyed it, I said. It's over. The business is bankrupt anyway. I saw the books. You're drowning in debt. Selling it is the only way to pay me back. You will sell everything, I continued. You will pay me $150,000 plus interest, totaling $165,000. And then, my mother asked. And then you will leave me alone, I said. Forever, you will not call me. You will not text me, you will not come to my house. If you try to contact me, the deal is void and I will press charges. You're disowning us? My father asked. He looked shocked. We're your family. No, I said. I'm firing you. You were bad parents. You were bad bosses. And you were bad people. I am terminating the relationship. My father looked at the settlement paper. His hands were shaking so hard he couldn't hold the pen. If we sign this, no police. If you sign this, and if the check clears, I will tell Detective Miller I do not wish to pursue prosecution, I said. But the file stays open. If you miss a payment, or if you try to hide assets, he will come for you. My father looked at my mother. They communicated without speaking. They realized they had no choice. They were cornered. The decades of bullying, of manipulation, of using me, it all ended right here at this mahogany table. Give me the pen, my father said. He signed, then he pushed the paper to my mother. She sobbed, snot running down her nose, and signed. I took the paper back. I checked the signatures. Robert Whitmore, Susan Whitmore. They were real signatures this time. Get out, I said. They stood up slowly. They looked like ghosts. They walked to the door. My father stopped. He turned around. He looked at me one last time. You're cruel, Charlotte, he said. I never thought you had it in you. I looked him in the eye. I learned from the best, I said. They left. The door clicked shut behind them. The room was silent again. Mr. Henderson looked at me and smiled. Well done, Charlotte. I turned my chair to look out the window. The rain was still falling on the city, washing the streets clean. I didn't feel cruel. I felt clean. I felt like a wound that had finally been stitched up. It would leave a scar, yes, but it would stop bleeding. I took a deep breath. It's done, I whispered. The next 3 months were a blur of lawyers, auctions, and paperwork, but I wasn't doing the work. I was watching it happen. Mr. Henderson handled everything. He was ruthless. The nursery was seized. The bank foreclosed on the property because, it turned out, my parents had mortgaged it to the hilt to pay for their lifestyle, even before stealing my trust fund. I went to the auction. I stood in the back, wearing a hooded raincoat. I watched strangers walk through the greenhouses. I saw a man buy the delivery trucks. I saw a woman buy the irrigation equipment. I saw the orchids, the ones I had spent years caring for, sold in bulk for pennies on the dollar. It hurt to see the plants go. They were innocent. But I knew I couldn't save them. I had to let the old garden die so I could plant a new one. My parents were evicted from the Victorian house. It was sold to a developer who planned to turn it into a bed and breakfast. They moved into a small, 2-bedroom apartment in a rundown part of town. No view of the river. No doorman. Robert, my father, got a job as a night security guard at a warehouse. He sits in a booth for 8 hours a night, checking. He makes $28 an hour. It's hard work. His back hurts. Susan, my mother, started making jam. She sells it at a farmer's market on weekends. She has to stand on her feet all day. She complains to anyone who will listen about how ungrateful her children are. And Ashley. The money stopped instantly. Her rent check bounced. Her car was repossessed. She called me once, screaming, "You ruined my life. I was about to get a role. You're just jealous." I didn't say anything. I just hung up. I heard from Aunt Patricia that Ashley had to move out of the penthouse. She moved to Seattle. She lives in a studio apartment with 3 other girls. She works as a barista at a coffee shop. For the first time in her life, she has to wake up at 5 a.m. She has to serve people. She has to clean up spills. She is finally learning what the natural order really is. Work, then reward, not the other way around. I received my check. After the liquidation, after the lawyers took their cut, and after the bank took theirs, there was just enough to pay me back. $165,000. My principal plus a little interest. I held the check in my hand. It wasn't a fortune, but it was freedom. I drove out of the city. I drove past the old nursery, which was now empty and dark. I didn't stop. I kept driving south into the Willamette Valley. I didn't want a greenhouse. I didn't want orchids. Orchids are fussy. They need constant attention. They need to be pampered. I wanted something strong, something that could survive a storm. I found a piece of land, 5 acres. It was wild, overgrown with blackberries and weeds. Most people would see a mess. I saw potential. I saw soil that hadn't been touched in years. Soil that was resting. I bought it. Cash. The day I signed the deed, I went to the land alone. I parked my old Honda in the tall grass. I walked to the center of the property. The wind was blowing through the fir trees. It was quiet. No shouting, no demands, no "Charlotte, fix this," just the wind. I took a shovel from my trunk. I dug a hole. I didn't plant a flower. I planted an acorn, a valley oak. Oaks grow slow, but they grow deep. Their roots go down so far that they can survive drought, fire, and storms. And once they are big, they provide shelter for everything around them. I patted the dirt down around the seed. "Grow," I whispered. "Take your time. No one is rushing you." 2 years have passed since I walked out of that Thanksgiving dinner. My life is simple now, very simple and very quiet. I live in a small manufactured home on my 5 acres. It's not a mansion, it's a box. But it's my box. I pay the bills, I chose the curtains. I started a small business. Not a nursery, I do landscape consultation. I help people fix their soil. I teach them how to make things grow in difficult places. I don't have employees. I don't have a legacy to uphold. I just have my hands and the dirt. I wake up when the sun comes up. Not because I have to, but because I want to. I drink my coffee on my porch. I watch the mist burn off the valley. I don't talk to my parents. Aunt Patricia tells me about them sometimes. She says my father is bitter. He tells his drinking buddies that his daughter stole his business. He believes his own lie. She says my mother is still waiting for Ashley to become a movie star and buy them a mansion. They are stuck in a loop of delusion. I don't wish them harm, I just don't think about them. They are like a TV show I used to watch but lost interest in. I changed the channel. Last week I was at the grocery store. I saw a woman who looked like my mother from behind, the same coat. For a second my heart stopped. The old fear spiked in my chest, the fear of being scolded, the fear of being not good enough. Then the woman turned around. It wasn't her, but even if it had been, it wouldn't have mattered. I'm not the same Charlotte. The Charlotte who dropped the keys in the potatoes was desperate. She was reacting. The Charlotte who lives here on this land is proactive. I am building something. I walked out to my oak tree yesterday. It's a sapling now, about 2 feet tall. It has healthy green leaves. I sat down next to it. I remembered what my father said. You were born to tend the soil. He meant it as an insult. He meant I was bottom tier. He meant I was a servant, but he was wrong about the meaning. The soil is everything. Without the soil, the flower dies. Without the soil, the tree falls. The soil is the source of power. I am the soil. And for 30 years, I gave my nutrients to weeds. Now I keep my nutrients for myself. And look at how I'm growing. I have a dog now. A mutt named Buster. He follows me around the property. He doesn't ask for anything except a scratch behind the ears. I have a boyfriend, David. He's a carpenter. He built me a trellis for my tomatoes. He doesn't care about image. He cares about whether the wood is level. We cooked Thanksgiving dinner together this year, just the two of us. We had turkey sandwiches. We ate them on the porch. We didn't toast to anyone's success. We just ate. It was the best meal of my life. People ask me sometimes if I forgive them. Forgiveness is a tricky word. It sounds like you are saying what they did was okay. What they did was not okay. It was theft. It was abuse. It was cruel. I don't forgive the action. But I have let go of the anger. Anger is heavy. It's like carrying those 50-pound fertilizer bags. If you carry it too long, it breaks your back. So I put the bags down. I found justice. Not just in the legal settlement, but in the reality of our lives. Justice isn't always a gavel banging. Sometimes justice is just the truth revealing itself. The truth is, they needed me. I didn't need them. When I left, they fell. When they left me alone, I rose. That is the only verdict I needed. I stand on my porch as the sun goes down. The sky is purple and orange. I look at my hands. They are rough. There is dirt under my fingernails. They are working hands. For a long time, I hated my hands. I wanted them to be soft like Ashley's. Now I love them. These hands built a life. These hands dug a well. These hands signed the papers that set me free. If you are listening to this, and you feel like you are the soil in your family, if you are the one doing the work while everyone else blooms, if you are the one paying the price for everyone else's comfort, listen to me. You are not the background character. You are the foundation. And the thing about a foundation is you can choose what you support. You can support a crumbling, ungrateful house. Or you can walk away, find your own patch of earth, and build something that actually shelters you. It's scary to drop the keys. It's scary to walk into the rain. It's scary to cut the cord. But let me tell you from the other side. The air is cleaner here, the water is sweeter. And the silence isn't lonely, it's peaceful. My name is Charlotte, I am a gardener, and I finally pruned the dead branches from my family tree. Now I am in full bloom.